Well, hello and welcome to a special coronavirus episode of the Globetrottin ADs. This is Nick and Matt's here as well, and we're going to be joined in a few minutes by Sharon from Hong Kong International School to talk about APAC and what's going on in Asia. But first, we'll get Scott Hibbert on the phone. He's from the Dubai American Academy, and talk about MASAC. So this is a bit of a new episode for us. We're going to kind of fly by the seat of our pants here, and we're going to call Scott right while we're recording, and we'll get this out to everybody as soon as we can. So hope it all works, and I'm going to call Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello there, how are you?
Hey,
Matt. Hey, Nick, how are you?
Well, we're all right. It's Sunday afternoon for us, but that's your Monday there in Dubai, right?
Yeah, it's a school day, and our campus is cleared out very quickly.
What's it like there with coronavirus? School's in session, of course.
I would have to say it's been quite slow, and then over the past, maybe I'd say 4 or 5 days, I guess three big factors have come into why international schools and private schools are acting the way they are, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I think the three factors are the increased cases around the globe, but also within this region of Iran and Kuwait and Bahrain. And that's led to heightened tensions amongst families here in Dubai. And with Kuwait and Bahrain, they've decided to close all schools. So that is.
Do you have reported cases?
Yes, they do. They have a little bit more than us. The UAE has 23 reported cases, but again, the UAE is 7 different emirates, and nothing here is being reported in Dubai. But of course, because of the increased number of cases around the Middle East, everybody's scared. Right. Everybody's nervous.
So, what has your conference done? Your Middle East South Asia Conference.
So what we have right now is we have a directive from our KHDA, which is the Knowledge and I believe it's Knowledge and Health Directive, and the authority here has told us now all non-essential activities have been canceled. So this groups camps, sports, local trips, international trips, festivals, competitions, games. So all of those things have been canceled amongst our within Dubai and within the Emirates, and that has an impact on our league because right now our league is wait and see, and we have to see what other schools within the region are saying. So we'll have something probably later in the week, but right now our school, ASD and ACS, which are 3 of the 6 schools, are all in a waiting pattern.
So is there a date, like a future date or a time frame of when that cancellation is effective until?
Right now, the directive from KHDA is 2 weeks. And then they'll probably roll out something again saying that it's either all cleared or we're canceled until further notice. Okay. But right now, schools are in session. Parents have been told you can keep your son or daughter at home, but everything after school and that are canceled.
Okay.
You have a school across the street from you, right, Scott? So would any?
Yeah, we're actually right next door to the American School of Dubai, so that's in a range of about 3 city blocks, 5,000 students. And both have sent students home today with no practices, no games. We were to start baseball and softball tomorrow with games against them, but we've had to cancel. So we're looking at canceling in the next 2 weeks, 60 practices and 20 events.
Wow. So everybody just goes home. That's it for the day.
Yep.
What time does your school day end?
Our school day ends 2:45 for elementary students, 2:55 for middle school and high school, and the campus was cleared today by 3:15. It's actually a ghost town now.
Wow.
Wow.
And are you the ADs from the 6 schools? Have you had a Skype call? How did you decide? Just email?
Well, at the moment, we've had emails, and we've had our superintendents and directors have been in contact by email, and there will be a conference call probably either Thursday of this week or Sunday of next week, because we need to make a decision, because schools are at the point. We've booked flights, so we're looking at if we're looking at canceling, we need to be able to provide refunds, or we need to be able to provide that information to our families. And we would be sending 150 to 160 students to different events in April.
So did you have any trips coming up within the next 2 weeks that have been canceled?
Yes, we had our middle school week without walls were canceled. So that students were to travel out today on a kind of a rolling schedule, and we had two trips already out. One was in Hatta, which is near the Omani border, and they were pulled back and brought back yesterday. And we have a trip in Tanzania with about 20 to 30 students, and they've been told that they will be staying there until the end of their trip because it's too hard to get them back.
Right.
Okay.
And we had a group of high schoolers return from their trips on Friday and Saturday, so that wasn't affected. And we've had a couple of CAS trips and IB trips that have been canceled.
It's reaching everywhere, right?
Yeah. So, yes, it's interesting. Well, you heard about our situation here in our region with CISA, and then of course knock on with other nearby conferences with SCIS and our DVAC. So it's had an impact on us as well here, which Nick and I will get to a little bit later. But it's interesting to hear that it's already made its way southeast to the Middle East, to where you guys are, and the implications from that.
Yeah, I don't see it better. And speaking with my colleague next door, he doesn't see it getting any better either. And I think making a choice either to postpone and move ours back into May might be beneficial for our students, but I don't see that happening either due to Ramadan and IB exams. So we're in flux right now, and it's a shame because our programs are quite strong, and we've got a lot of positive energy from students and coaches. And it's a shame as well as we had several seniors in the office this morning telling me I can't cancel.
Yeah. It's had an emotional impact for us too, because you see how hard the kids have been working, getting ready for their end of season tournaments, and I'm helping coach as well this season. I'm helping coach varsity girls basketball, and it's hard to give that news to the kids and break it to them that, sorry guys, you can't go. Everybody understands, but it's still tough to get through, to tell everybody we're not traveling, we're not going to our end of season tournaments, and it's a shame. You're right, it's an absolute bummer.
I think for you guys it's a little harder because you took it was this weekend and next weekend, and that decision was, probably, I don't know how long it took for the directors to make that call, but here, we've had a little bit. We were into 2 weeks of practices, and now we've started games. But I think our kids and coaches understood that this might come down the pipeline.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think ours weren't surprised either, really. When it was finally decided, we could kind of see it coming. Obviously, like you said, Matt, totally disappointed, but totally understanding at least everything we've heard, from the parents, and just to have a decision, not to have to wait, just to know, okay, it's canceled. For us, it's canceled for 2 weeks, and then everything after that, we're still, we'll still wait and see, but it's a bit of relief for a lot of people too. Yeah.
I think so too, because I'm just thinking to myself, like, my inbox really isn't that full. You would think there would be loads of emails coming in from parents or kids and asking what's going on, but truthfully, it's not as bad as you would think, because I think everybody's just accepted it and understands what the situation is and is dealing with it as such.
Right. Hey Scott, why don't we keep you on here, just because I want to see what you're thinking of doing, but I just want to go over some of the things in Europe that are canceled already. I kind of got a big list here, and then Matt and I have already been talking about what we can do with our kids now that these are canceled. So maybe I'd like to get your ideas about that as well.
Okay, sure.
But inside Europe, we had ISST and SKIS. They canceled their winter tournaments on Thursday night. Nisus is canceled. The CISA, as Matt mentioned, they canceled everything until May 1st. So not only just the basketball, but also a lot of activity tournaments in April are canceled. Staying activities, the NESDA Speech and Debate organization canceled their tournament in the end of March. And the AMI music festivals, a lot of those have been canceled as well. The only thing I've heard that's still going ahead is the Nordic League up north there. They have a lot of tournaments this weekend, and they're all going ahead as planned. Have you heard anything else, Matt? Have I missed anybody?
Quite a few of our DVAC events have been scrapped as well. I don't know if you mentioned that.
How did I forget those?
The only thing that I know of that's still planned as of now in DVAC, next weekend we're hosting the varsity boys basketball. Well, we're scheduled to until further notice. Right. And right now, all the outside of Budapest schools have canceled. So as of now, there's still 4 teams in it, only located here in Budapest. So unless something happens, I think we're going to still try to make it happen, since it's only those schools in town here.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens. It's day to day, really.
Right. That's interesting. You said that. So inside Hungary, the schools are still willing to play. Scott, you mentioned that you can't even compete against a school across the street. And in Vienna, we've cut out everything outside of our building. So that's including field trips and all sorts of things outside of our walls. We've canceled as well.
Well, like I said, that could change, because it really is day to day. Our director sent out an email yesterday asking families again to clarify where they've been or to avoid going to places that have been where there's been reported cases of coronavirus. So tomorrow might be a whole other situation we'll be dealing with again.
Yeah. Scott, have you started to think about what you're going to do with these students now that they don't have a end of season event, or is that too far down the road for you? Yes?
Well, I think for right now it might be a bit too far down the road. But one of the things we did here at school was to push out a survey to our student athletes, and it's actually one of the first surveys I've seen that has been lights up, because we've already got like 65 responses, and generally surveys here at school are quite slow. And kids are saying that they'd like to see it pushed back. We're getting quite a lot saying, push it back all the way into Ramadan, which would add, some other layers.
Right.
But I think a postponement would be probably from my perspective, the best situation, instead of canceling outright.
Sure.
But again, it would be getting the other 5 schools on board with that.
Right. I think we're because the basketball season is right now, we can't extend it. We're looking to hopefully start spring in 2 weeks' time. But I think all the schools around us, anyway, Matt, are trying to plan something to do with our kids to give them some end of season experience. You got to planning anything yet, Matt?
Well, we've kicked around some ideas. We don't have anything hard planned, but we're going to meet about that on Monday. We've talked about in high school doing like a 3-on-3 co-ed tournament on the last Thursday of the season, which would have been our CISA weekend. We're going to do a co-ed 3-on-3 tournament in the big gym. Middle school, we're going to try to organize like a teacher versus students basketball game with the boys. And then the girls, on paper, we're still supposed to go to the Budapest British School for their DVAC tournament. So we're kind of hoping that'll still take place. Right. That's supposed to be on the 14th. So just under 2 weeks from now. So we still have some things in plan.
Yeah, Bucharest we heard from, and some other schools, and about a 3-on-3 where we're trying to do the same thing on the Saturday of when all the tournaments were. We're hoping to do a big kind of in-house jamboree and have some mixed teams and just a bunch of things going on at once. Have music playing, get some pizza in, do some team awards, try to really have a celebration despite everything.
Yeah, and the swim team, they're going to also do a in-house swim meet next Thursday, I believe, which is the day they're supposed to leave for the CISA meet. So they're doing something. It's probably the coaches are being great about it because the bummer is we don't get that closure that we would normally get with the travel and the bonding of the trip when you go on their CISA weekend.
Right.
So this will help soften that blow, I think, a little bit. They get some kind of closure to the end of the season.
Yeah.
I wish we had that, because with this directive, we have to clear campus, and we can't even practice. We can't even have something amongst ourselves until KHDA come out with another statement.
Right.
And hopefully that comes out, in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, when they see that it's either changed in the positive or changed to
right,
to the negative.
Yeah, it's really interesting how conferences are making obviously decisions as a whole, but then how each individual school, how they decide, it varies so much from school to school. It's interesting. Well, I think the biggest area obviously is in Asia, and we're going to be joined by Sharon pretty soon, because they've actually had school closings, entire schools closed for quite some time.
Yeah, for a couple months.
So I think we're in the Middle East, obviously, and in Europe, we're a bit behind all this stuff. So it'll be interesting to hear how it's affected their kids and their learning, right? Not just on the court, but everywhere. So I think we'll take an ad break and then and get to Sharon. So Scott, thanks for joining us and filling us in.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
And we'll definitely try to get you back on for a normal episode sometime soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Cheers.
All right, Nick.
All right. Take care, guys.
Sorry. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, Scott is no longer on the line, and like I mentioned, we'll take an ad break right now, and then hopefully be joined by Sharon when we get back. If your school is in the market for bespoke sportswear, look no further than Kukri Sports. Kukri has evolved over the last 20 years from a bespoke sportswear manufacturer into a true sportswear partner, firmly believing in the value of sport at all levels. Bespoke teamwear forms a unique part of an individual's sporting story and represents a lasting link to their time in sport. Kukri are proud to play a part in that journey. Every individual can build their own legacy. Kukri Sports creates a sportswear range that inspires as well as performs. Start your journey today. Email the team at contact@kukrisports.com. Okay, we're back. Thanks again to Scott. And not only have we said goodbye to Scott, we switched days. We recorded Scott on Sunday, but now it's Monday morning here in Europe. And we're welcoming Sharon on the line, who's joining us from Hong Kong. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Welcome
Sharon.
from Hong Kong. Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
good to reconnect.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We saw each other in D.C., and you were a part of that first profile episode. But despite the circumstances, it's nice to have you back on with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can you just fill everybody in on the coronavirus and your area of the world? Obviously, Europe, it's hitting now with cancellations, but you've been struggling with it or dealing with it for quite a while.
Yes, we have. Chinese New Year's fell end of January, 1st of February. So that was just when news sort of was breaking about the Wuhan virus. And about the same time that the China schools and ourselves were heading off for Chinese New Year's break. All this sort of spun somewhat out of control. And while we were on Chinese New Year's break, most of us being in different parts of the world, schools made the decision to close. And originally that closure was supposed to go into mid or late February, depending upon where you were. But as we all returned, in particular in Hong Kong, we had to return back to our home country, although the China-based schools were basically told, put in a holding pattern and told to stay put, because obviously they were experiencing a little more difficulty than we were at the time. And the Hong Kong government sort of acted swiftly and quickly, and they opted to delay us into March. And then just last week, we were extended until we are now out until April 20th.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
No school.
Yeah, so we've actually implemented an online. Our school has requested that all teachers be in Hong Kong and be on site, because we've implemented an online platform called Zoom that I think most educators are familiar with. And our high school division started with it first and sort of been ramping up in the classroom, although we can't really Zoom our athletics and activities program. So those have all been impacted heavily over the last few weeks and in the coming few months.
Wow. And what's supposed to be the end of your school year?
Typically, we are out like between June 12th and 13th, and teachers are out around the 14th.
Okay. So if everybody comes back April 20th, that doesn't give you much of a spring season.
No, in fact, for us here in Hong Kong, we made a decision locally with our international schools. Our international school season 3 sort of blends into the back end of season 2, and it's a quick 8 to 10 week season based on where your holidays are at. And so we made the decision mainly because a lot of the schools we compete with are IB programs, and a lot of them have prep work, and so that season usually is done by mid to third week in April. So once we made the decision that we were going to be out at the time till into March, basically made the decision that we would cancel season 3. And then, but we were holding on to the idea that we would, our APAC is our overseas competition and conference, and we actually were on threads with the 12 APAC ADs pretty much every day, trying to figure a way to sort of hopefully protect and keep at least one division. We were going to probably mix our divisions a little bit, either non-China and China schools, trying to preserve that competition. But once Hong Kong decided April 20th, that basically meant we were coming back after our APAC competition was going to finish. So China schools had opted out, and our heads last week made a decision that even now that Japan and Korea are seeing some increased infection rates, that they are basically heads have decided that they want to err on the side of caution, and then also, even if schools come back, they want to protect the academic integrity of the rest of the school year. So season 3 for us is done.
Wow.
And is that so you mentioned APAC, and obviously there's, you said Chinese and non-Chinese schools. Are all of the schools out right now, all 12 of you?
So based on what the information I've gotten from our Asia Pacific schools, the Korea schools are out until March 9th. Canadian Academy in Japan is out till March 15th. China schools are out indefinitely, and the way that it stands right now is basically their admin will give them a 3-week heads up, a week to travel, and then a 2-week, 14-day home quarantine. But they haven't gotten the signal yet, so I can't. I mean, we're all thinking that they probably won't be back any earlier than we are, because I think Hong Kong has a lot of communications with the Chinese government. Sure. So if we're out till April 20th, it's likely that they'll be out as well.
And that was imposed, like you're talking about the government. So every school is closed
In Hong Kong, yes.
Regardless international or not. And is that something you had to follow? Or because you're international?
That's something Hong Kong has to follow. I know I've heard from certain, and again, people here in Hong Kong is that I think there's some question as whether Shanghai schools will, I don't think their government has really made that decision yet, and whether they will or will not have to abide by it. But I would imagine most school administrations are right. Probably going to go with what governments. What the governments are saying. And sure. Again, I think a lot of the students and teachers are now all abroad. So that's going to be trying to get everybody back. And I know that U.S. is starting to see some impacts with the infections, and as well as Italy and other countries in Europe, I think you said, are starting to see some effects. And so we don't know how that's going to ripple effect is going to be in getting people back to home countries or host countries.
Yeah, it seems like a domino effect. All around the world.
Yeah, because all your people are, if they're not there, they're somewhere else in the world, right? And now.
Yeah, well, for us, I mean, like I said, we were told we needed to be back here. So that again, we were just sort of kind of working through Zoom when we had our the protests back in last fall. So we had made some inroads with our staffing with how to use that, but we also felt that our IT people could help support teachers here better on site, sure. Or at least being in the same city than if they were scattered in different time zones.
And what are you up to? Do you teach a class personally, or are you just sitting around watching everyone else on Zoom?
I'm at this point I'm still very busy. We're working on inventory. We're also working on refunds for flights and travel trips, and so I mean we're definitely doing more admin work these days, which is not nearly as fun as dealing with kids on a daily basis. And I think we're all in that sort of semi shock of being away from kids for a couple of weeks, and when we do see kids out and about in the places that we see them at the clubs or the grocery store, it's funny how you you just really want to reconnect with them and remind yourself why we do what we do. But yeah, we're spending time, inventory, getting ready for next year, looking at our budgets in terms of how they've been hit, in terms of airlines have been pretty good for us, and our travel agency have been pretty good to us with getting money back to families. But I don't know that that's necessarily the case in other countries.
Yeah, we're kind of in the process of that right now because our CISA conferences decided to cancel. It came out late last week. Our tournaments which were supposed to come up this week and next week for end of season basketball and swim meet has been canceled. And we can't do anything in CISA until May 1st.
Okay.
So we're kind of in that process of investigating refunds and cancellations.
Yeah. How long does your season 3 run?
It was supposed to go till the end of next week.
No, that's season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, season 3 would be
season 2.
End of May. Mid May. So we're still hopeful that we can start and have a tournament, but if not, at least practice and do something internally.
Yeah, we have a season 4 for our middle school students, so we're still locally trying to keep that. They don't travel, but we are trying to. We're hoping to get kids back April 20th and be able to run a shortened season for them. And like I said, we pretty much every day over the last 3 weeks, we've been trying to figure out ways to offer opportunities for kids. But ultimately, when we're being shut down pretty much the whole season, it didn't make sense to try to push something through if kids hadn't trained, and it may or may not, be back, when everybody else gets back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you say about I kind of had that feeling this weekend, it all kind of settled in about, it's a bummer. And of course we're all kind of down about not being able to do our end of season tournaments, but you're dealing with a different situation that you don't see kids at all. And it was interesting that you said, like, you miss that connection you get with being around them and get that energy from them.
For sure. I mean, I think we all, even though we do a lot of admin work, we do what we do because of our daily connections with kids and trying to, give them competitions and and the learnings that they can't get necessarily in the academic classroom. So yeah, it's kind of in a little bit of a mourning period, a grieving period, but we're excited about what's on the schedule for next year and focused on what's ahead rather than dwelling right now.
Yeah, I've been telling kids, I think we're all disappointed, but I think that just goes to show you how much they love sports and being involved in the program and having these opportunities to go travel and play in these tournaments. So we just hope for the best for the next time.
That's true. We're definitely getting better with our procedures and our communications with parents, and so I mean, there's definitely some learning that's happening on our end, but not necessarily the kind that we went into our jobs for.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Sharon, thanks again for updating us and I guess all of our listeners around the world about how you guys are dealing with this in your part of the world. Hopefully we don't have to have a Coronavirus 2 episode, or if we do, it's a really positive one to say how we're all back up and running. But I guess
hope
time
so.
will tell.
I hope you guys don't have to. Hope it's gonna get under control, and keep thinking that maybe the warm spring weather is what we need to sort of blast this out of here.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, thanks again, and we'll take a quick break here, and then come back with some updates.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kara. Good luck.
See you again soon. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Coach Evaluator is the premier coach evaluation software for schools and athletic organizations and the preferred coach evaluation solution of the NIAAA and the Positive Coaching Alliance. The system is completely customizable with an always growing evaluation template library for athletic directors to reference. Coach Evaluator offers a built-in workflow tracking each coach evaluation from start to finish, including document uploads and email notifications. There are not only evaluations for ADs to use, but also self-evaluations and parent-player evaluations of coaches. There is built-in detailed historical reporting allowing the athletic director to analyze their coach's performance over time. Learn more about digitizing and simplifying your coach evaluation process by visiting www.coachevaluator.com. Mention Globetrottin ADs to receive a $200 discount on the yearly rate.
We're back here, just the two of us to kind of close it out, and I think I just want to start because we had some big developments in Vienna over the weekend, or just happened yesterday.
Yeah, breaking news yesterday.
Yeah, two, let's say, program associates from the Vienna International School have tested positive, and they've closed school for at least today and tomorrow. Teachers are in. Some teachers are on quarantine, the people that came in direct contact with these two. But yeah, so we've also canceled our after-school activity program for this week, and are really trying to minimize unnecessary contact with people. So outside instructors, visitors on campus. So there was a lot of emails and an emergency meeting last night of our admin. So it's hitting close to home in Vienna.
Mitigating some risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. We're on this Wednesday, our schedule is that for the classes, the kids is they're going to do a virtual run through. So the kids are going to go to their classes, but they're going to do them virtually. So the teacher won't even be in the classroom. They're going to kind of give it a test run of how it would go, and then kind of debrief afterwards.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
The process. Yeah. So they're going to do kind of a dry run of what this would look like. What these other international schools are already going through with Zoom, like Sharon had mentioned. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Well, I think we wanted to close off to talk a little bit about the CISA conference upcoming in March. Any listener knows that we've done a lot of work getting ready for that and the NIAAA courses. And we're hopeful it continues, but right now a lot of schools have already said their teachers can't go, right? Do you know the count now, Matt?
Last time I checked, it was about 11 schools had told their folks that they can't go to the CISA conference, us included. Budapest is not allowed. So that means I can't technically go to the conference and be a part of it. So it's really thrown a wrench into things for us, because that's not only just the PD part, but also that's our spring meeting for the activities and for the athletics for next school year to kind of firm up the calendar and go over some issues. So a lot of folks are going to be missing from that meeting, which is going to be problematic. So we're going to have to figure out what to do before the end of the school year, whether we do a virtual meeting or we're going to have to, maybe if everything clears out, maybe we have a later meeting in June or sometime where everybody can get together physically in one spot.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm checking my email all the time, waiting for an email from CISA to either say it's canceled
just on everything's just standby, touch and go. So I think that's the best we can do for now.
Well, I know I've already found a good replacement for teaching 701 if we do go ahead. So Dave, if you're listening, thanks for stepping in and covering Matt for the LTC. Thanks, 701.
He can be my substitute.
Yeah, no, it is really bad if it is canceled. Obviously understandable, but not just us, but everyone in Helsinki. They've put in so much work, and our friend Yone.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised this week. There's going to be more, because I think some of the schools were still out on ski break last week.
Right.
So they're like a week behind in decision making, and like the rest of us were back in session last week. So a lot of this went through. So now they're kind of getting caught up. Like, for example, I know Warsaw was out last week. So you got to think there probably is going to be some adjustments or changes from their end coming through this week.
Sure. All right. Well, as we said, it is Monday morning for us, and we're at school right now.
Yep.
So we'll sign
off. Get to work.
We gotta do some.
I got
do some other work.
Got uniform inventory to get to.
There you go.
And, trips coming up.
But we'll this was, despite it all, it was fun to try to get this episode together quick and update everybody. So I hope you appreciate it. And we have already another episode lined up with Kirby Boychuk that we'll put out very soon, and we're going to tape another one. So we will try to have podcasts as normal in the next weeks as well, but maybe send another coronavirus update if needed in between.
Yep. Yeah. So stay healthy, everybody. Stay well.
All right. And keep listening. Take care.
Okay.